It's time for the Trading Stocks Made Easy podcast. Each week, Trading Stocks Made Easy demystifies stock trading and investing so you can profit big. And now, here's the host of Trading Stocks Made Easy, the wealthy investor, Tyrone Jackson.
And welcome back to Trading Stocks Made Easy. I'm your lovable host, Tyrone Jackson. Hey, it's always a pleasure to have you here. And we've been experimenting with the podcast format here, and we decided to have a Traders Roundtable. Now, the first episode went so well, and people seem to really like it, that we've had our traders back again. So let's just go around. Christopher, tell us your first and last name and what it is you do.
Christopher Haro. I'm a CPA. I have a tax practice in the LA area.
And how can people find you online still?
Correct. They could go to my website, harocpa.com, and find me.
Okay. And then that way they know you're real. Like you're not some guy who's pretending to be on the show, right?
Correct. I'm not some rich person's born with a silver spoon in my mouth. I had to work my way up.
Yeah, very nice. And this wonderful lady, her name is?
Carrie Karanen. And Chris is my tax guy. It's Haro. Just so you know how to spell his last name.
Oh, thank you very much.
Thank you for the plug.
Right.
And I'm an actress living and working in the Los Angeles area.
Mm-hmm. If people want to go online, is there any place they can find out about
you? You can always find me anywhere, Carrie Karanen. Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, anything. I'm Carrie Karanen everywhere you look.
She's posting as we're recording, ladies and gentlemen, in real time. It's going up on Facebook and Twitter. And this gentleman.
Hey, Randy Hernandez. Actor, dad, entrepreneur, stock trader. Covered call writer, option trader, all the above.
And aren't you running for vice president in
Soon.
2000?
Or Hermosa Beach, where I live. I'm actually going to be mayor of Hermosa.
All right, be careful. We don't want people showing up at your house going, are you the real guy? Well, I had an interesting experience, because I try to have in the students who are in the program. And somebody came and joined the program. And you know how we do our drills where we do like mock trades? And he's sitting next to someone. He goes, oh, my God, you're the guy from the podcast. So they're actually real people, real trading. You've all been trading for a while now. Why study? Why come to class? Carrie?
For me, I really love the support of the community. I love being able to have a place where we're all on the same page in terms of our vocabulary and dialogue so that we can really discuss the stocks and discuss the strategies without getting caught up. You don't feel like you have to educate the other person you're talking to about like what a covered call is to then have the conversation about the strategy, or what a bear call spread is to have the conversation about the strategy. So, and also just the support, I've definitely emailed and called Chris and other people from the class in between classes to say, oh my gosh, I did this, or, either asking for help or asking someone to help celebrate something I did. So for me, it's both the learning, the education, the conversation, and the support.
I find that even though you go home and you trade alone, it's like a team sport, really.
Yeah.
Because sometimes someone will see something else in a trade that you just didn't see, right? Christopher, why come to class and actually study?
So I'm going on my third year in the class with you, and it would be great if it was always a bull market, but the market's changed. We've been into a little bit of a bear market. It's been range bound, and there's different strategies. So if I just stayed for 1 month, 2 months, learn how to cover call, that's great for that period. But the market's changed.
Yes.
And I'm a student. I need to learn what's going to happen when the market changes. And instead of figuring it out on my own, I call the teacher.
Well, you don't call me, actually.
Right.
I go to class.
You go to class,
I
exactly.
go to class.
If I gave
We sit outside your house.
Right. If I gave my number out, believe me, I would never get any sleep, okay? Randy, why come to class and study stock market trading?
Towards the same thinking is that you need to constantly keep your brain smart. It's like being an actor. People are like, oh, you still go to class? I'm like, yeah, because you just got to stay current and stay fresh. Working the brain. And I think it's good to have definitely the opinions of others and everyone's mindset. And it's just always good to refresh because you constantly need it. And other than the market does change up and down, stay the same, but I think it's a place to go just to, to work out for your brain.
Right, like going to the gym.
Sure,
kind of.
like a workout.
Yeah, you stay in shape.
Absolutely.
I always, particularly now, at the time of this recording, the stock market was kind of stagnant for about 6 months. And now all of a sudden we're getting all these breakouts, like the big money, the people who really run the game, the college endowments, the hedge funds. Now they're pouring money back into the market. Even when that is happening, I always like to practice what I call $3 up, $3 down. How would you make money if this stock went down $3 over the next 30 days, even though it's in a long-term trend, or make a huge move up? Do you guys like practicing making money regardless of direction?
I do, but the only thing is I can't go to a party and tell them, oh, Netflix went down $5, but I'm okay because I made money.
Right, I profit.
I'm
People
sorry
don't like
for
to hear
you,
that.
but
Right.
I made money.
Right.
But your discipline has taught us to not worry about it. We're going to make money if it goes down.
Mm-hmm.
We make it quicker if it's going up, but we're still going to make money.
Mm-hmm. Carrie, $3 up, $3 down.
I love it because one, it helps me keep balance in my own portfolio. So I always, no matter what, have an in the money call somewhere, and I really like the fact that it feels balanced and sort of stable, and you feel less of a victim of like the direction of the market.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So if it goes up, it goes down, and of course you can tell yourself whatever story, you'd be like, oh, I would have made so much more money if I did, but it's like you have to kind of watch your own brain and be like, I'm not going to tell that story. I'm just going to keep telling the story of like creating consistent profits. And I think it's about having that goal that you have, which is consistent monthly income.
Yes.
And knowing what that is, and then just focusing on that and being kind of in like a long term. So I love all the discipline that you teach. That's like just feels like it's easy to stay on track.
Yes.
And then you don't end up in trouble, with these big wild swings, But I felt a little bit bad when like stocks went down, especially with like some stuff. And I was like, oh well, actually, I everything turned green, so I'm good.
Right.
You know what I mean? You can't say that to people, but I do feel like it makes you less of a victim. Feel like victim
totally.
of the situation.
And I think you just have to put the more volatility in the stock, you have to plan, especially around earnings, for a decline. I had several Netflix calls, $9 premium in the money. I expected a $5 drop. The stock went down $14. You know how sweet that was to collect all that premium or buy back and roll out? That was really easy. Randy, practicing making money when stocks go up, practicing making money when they go down.
Fundamentals. It keeps you with discipline and it teaches you the fundamentals because we've all been there, so we know how to. So we don't. For me, I don't panic. So I'm past that phase. And when you talk to people about that who don't understand it, they're like, "Oh, well, you lost it." Well, not really. So there's always, like you teach, there's always ways to make money. There's always money made in the stock market. So I don't look at it when people are like, "Oh, I saw the Dow was down." I'm like, I really don't know what you're talking about.
Right.
I don't look at it that way.
Right.
You focus on what we are taught, but it keeps you grounded with fundamentals because you always go back to, at one point or another, to your fundamentals of the discipline of like that 70-cent covered call. It's there. Right. And that keeps me focused because when I see that number, it seems like, oh, well, it's still there. It's not like 20 cents.
Right.
And if you do some out of the money, it's there. And that's, well, I've been here before and I know what it's like and it's not bad, but I've also been at the premiums are 5.
Yes.
And that's great.
Yes.
But this is okay.
Yes.
For right now.
Yes.
And it's going to change. So that fundamental way of thinking keeps me really grounded.
Now, I want to just clarify for everybody listening. Today, we're going to be talking about making fast, sexy money. Now, when you're shooting for fast, sexy money, you could also lose money when the stock goes on the downside. But we're going to talk about when the stock market is highly volatile. First of all, our core strategy that we always work is covered call writing because that brings in guaranteed money. So we would sell some call options to someone else to buy the stock away from us, make that profit, and then we can do something with that money. Now, we can invest it in an option, a longer-term option known as a leaps call. Now, I'm going to get there in 1 second. But I want to talk to you about volatility trading. And volatility trading, by our definition, is when we buy a stock and then we set an automatic sell price. We tell the software inside our account, when this stock moves 70 cents higher, sell it for me. We're not day trading. We are trading based on the program, right? We're telling the program or telling the software in our account when to sell that stock. Randy, what do you like about Fast Sexy Money as a volatility trader?
Well, first of all, I love the program and the software. It takes out a lot of the worry for you. So we learn our program from class, and then you could set your price, and the software does it. So when it hits 70 cents or $1, you get your email.
And let me stop you just for 1 second, because for people who may be new to the show, this software that allows you to put a programmable trade is inside your E-Trade account,
Everything.
Charles Schwab account.
Everyone offers it.
Right.
Everyone.
Okay.
It's right there for you to do. It's easy to manage, and it really does take the worry away from it. And it's great when there's a lot of volatility. You don't have to be in front of your computer. You know where it's going. You've been there before. As a class, we've been there before. So it makes it a lot easier.
Okay. Carrie, what do you like are you a big volatility trader?
Well, in the time that I've been in the program, we've had only small sections of time where volatility trading was effective in the market that we were in.
Right.
But when we did it, I loved it.
Okay.
I also, because we were saying, with a 30-day covered call, even if you finally set yourself up on a cycle where you have something after a month, you have something expiring every Monday, you're only trading on a Monday,
Right,
and you're kind of like waiting. But volatility is the time when I'm like on the phone. It feels more like a game, but it's a game that I know I can't lose either way, because if volatility for some reason stops, then after 2 weeks I'll just turn it into a covered call. And I definitely, like, you watch it, you're like, you get that little email and you're like,
Great.
It's
the best feeling.
It's the best feeling to be like, I just made that money sitting here, and I was like, I just made more money on my phone than I will make all day in this room with these people. Fantastic.
Right.
That is great, because when we're volatility trading a stock, we tell the software, we grab the shares and we say, sell those shares when they move 70 cents. And now we get an email alert from our online brokerage house saying that stock was sold or your trigger was fired if you're on the Ameritrade platform. Christopher, what do you like about volatility trading?
So following with what both of them said, Randy and Carrie, your program is actually what you're teaching us in class. And when Randy was bringing up the 70 cents covered call premium, sometimes we could get a 70 cent increase in the stock price in one day. It might not sound a lot, but I'm a CPA, I'm a numbers guy, so it'll be a 1 or 2% day, or it depends on, but 1 or 2% gain. But I'll actually extrapolate it, and it'll turn out to be a 3,000% annual percentage rate.
Well, annual percentage for sure.
Right. Yeah, but people don't understand that. But it's still 1% gain, and I wasn't there. I followed what you taught us.
Right.
I purchased it, set up to sell, and I'll be working, and I'll get an email, and it's like, and I'll tell my wife who's in the other room, oh, honey, we made some money. Look, something sold.
Right.
And then I'll open up the email and see what it was, and then go back to work.
Right. And I like to use, for illustration purposes, a $1 gain. So, for example, if I owned 100 shares of a stock that's trading at, let's say, $50, and I say sell those shares the second, we call it intraday, hits 51, on 100 shares, I make $100. On 500 shares, I make $500. On 1,000 shares, I make $1,000 off that $1 increase. Now, I think we all understand we're not moving the market. It's the big boys and girls, because they're doing it with 1 million shares, making $1 million per trade. But we all like that, don't we?
Yeah, and the best part is the stock doesn't have to end up for the day for me to make my $100. It could end down, but I already made my money and I'm moved on.
Just off the volatility. As I always like to say, it just has to kiss that $1.
That's it.
And you're out. Okay. Now, anybody have a favorite stock for volatility trading right now? It could change in the market. Don't take this as a recommendation. Anybody? I know what we're all going to say, so you might as well just go ahead and say it. Do we want to all just say Netflix? Yeah, right now. It's just crazy on the volatility, right? It takes a good chunk of cash.
It does.
Anybody want to share their best day volatility trading over the past couple of years?
The past couple of years, I was using probably last year Starbucks as it was running up. It was very easy to get a $1 move in that almost once a week, twice a week.
That was crazy.
And you just wash, as you teach us, wash, rinse, and repeat. Just kept doing it over and over.
Randy, that's been your thing.
Yeah, volatility.
Yeah.
It's great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think you're a bit of a volatility junkie.
I love it.
Yeah.
Right. When it's there. But I've been in the program long enough that we've seen quite a few volatility sessions.
Yes, we have.
So those have been great, and that's also been a learning experience as well, because they're so great. And I've made money with Netflix, Tesla. The Starbucks was fun, but it's funny. The Starbucks was great, but nothing has beat me yet with Tesla or Netflix in those volatility arenas. I'd probably have to say Netflix was like the biggest one. Yeah. Where, I mean, crazy amount. I mean, you get that email. I'd set the trigger, and I'm like, and sometimes as we can be transparent with listeners and stuff, as Tyrone talks about going $1, I'm not afraid to say I've been that guy. If the stock goes $4 or higher, sell me, going out. And I've gone to bed and I've woken up the next morning with the email that it has gone $5.
Yes.
And but not just once. It's happened to me like 3 or 4 times
Yes.
in a span of 2 weeks. And that gets a little bit exciting. But, also that one. But it's great.
Yes. Now, I like the $1 increase
Yes.
because it's an easy
It's discipline,
formula.
too.
There
Yeah.
are some stocks that move $2 a day.
Wow.
Right? And you can capitalize off of that, right?
Absolutely.
Okay. What do you do with your volatility trading profits? You're not going to tell me what you really do because I'm the teacher, I'm in the studio, but what are you supposed to do?
Well, invest in a long-term stock. So I'll put it into AT&T or Disney or something like that. But you also stress too, when you're making this kind of money, I'm the first one to say like, I use it part of my income. So I'll take it out. I need to pay a bill or buy something for myself. I'm a little bit of a shoe junkie. I am, and I shop online for shoes. So when I see a deal coming up, I'll buy 2 pairs of the same sneakers in different colors because I earned it.
Right.
However you might see it, I earned it.
Right.
And I still have something left over. So that's me. But, the disciplined way, I always put some aside. And now we're in this option conversation here. Well, I'll use that money and I'll put it towards an option.
Right. We're going to talk about that on the other side of the break.
Yeah.
Coolest thing you've bought for yourself. Has anybody bought anything with their trading profits? I'm the teacher, so I'll just say this. Vacations. I use money from my brokerage account. I don't really need the money, but I use the money to finance my vacations. And it's nice to know while I'm on vacation, the stock market gave me that money. Right. And while I'm on vacation, I'm still making more money.
Right.
Coolest thing you ever bought?
Well, I have to say 3 things. So the first thing is it helps me pay for my annual Disneyland pass, and I get to check up on my stock and make sure the Disneyland parks are full. I was on vacation. My radiator broke in the middle of nowhere, and I had to pay $800, but I just used my trading account because it was there for that.
Right.
And then I have helped a friend who was going through a divorce at Christmas time. I bought her a Walmart gift card for $300, and that meant the world to her, but I knew that was for my covered call money or my volatility trading, and I know I'll get it next month. So, but it really helped them out.
Yeah. And I talk a lot about the program. Like, if we're making such good money, we should help other people, right? In our family. Now, you're all going to get looked up. And people are like, could you give me some money too? But I think that that's really important because, first of all, it's good energy. And also, you should give money away and not tell anybody about it. And that also feeds this belief that, like, hey, there's more money to be made for me tomorrow. Carrie, who have you helped?
Yeah, that's a big thing for me is mostly my profits or for my premiums, because since I'm still building my account, since it's new, a lot of it just goes right back into either a cash position, buying more if I have a $5 buy signal, or a leap.
Okay.
But recently, I think that there is something about wealth as like a feeling of community and collaboration and joy that I actually most recently I've been sharing this talks about like stock market with a friend of mine who really understands money and is like really great with money, but she just doesn't have like a lot of money on the side that she can kind of use to start a position or whatnot. And so I actually and she did something very like really, really, really special for me recently. So as a thank you, like I've started her a position in AT&T, and it feels really good to feel like I'm like with other people that I'm already not only helping myself, but helping others like create, financial freedom for themselves. And it's just, again, it keeps you away from that feeling of like greed or scarcity because I am in such a position where I'm actively trying to build my account that I don't want to get so caught up in like the scarcity thinking that all my money's got to stay there,
Right.
and just keep reminding myself that like that it needs to be in flow, It needs
Right.
to be
Sure,
in flow.
absolutely.
But I have yet to like actually buy myself anything.
Oh, you should do it.
I'm
You should do it.
home.
Yeah, you
I'm
should do
really
it.
bad
It's
at that.
exciting.
I'm
Yeah.
super
It's
bad at
exciting.
celebrating. with that.
It'll make you more money. I know that seems
Really?
weird.
Okay.
Yeah.
It'll make you more
Your
money.
next cover call, right, which should be Monday. Your next cover call, right, pull that premium out
Sure.
and go get yourself some stuff. And you'll
Yeah.
find you'll make more money as a trader that
Yeah.
way.
I haven't pulled anything out of my account.
No, you should.
Just do it one time.
Okay.
You'll
Yeah, it's
understand
fun.
next week, but
Right.
pull it out
Okay.
and
Right.
do something just for you. It takes your trading to another level. It really does.
It does.
Okay.
You'll see a shift.
Okay.
I know we're talking about fast money. I just want to touch upon investments. Last 2 years, your best stock for investing. These aren't recommendations because the market changes. Christopher, your best stock.
It's going to be Visa. It was trading at $200. I listened to you, and I wasn't concerned about how many shares I could buy, but I bought $1,000 worth. Well, shortly thereafter, it ended up splitting 4 for 1, 6 for 1.
Crazy.
And it jumped up, and I think it was actually 20 shares. All of a sudden, I now had 100 shares, and I started with a little bit. But that was probably my best one that I really enjoyed.
Carrie, since you've been in the program, best stock for investing?
The two that have really been the most profitable for me in the short time I've been in have been Home Depot and Visa.
Yeah.
Those are the two that have just steadily gone up. And they were also, Visa was my very first stock. And then Home Depot, I think I was like the 4th stock I ever bought. And so they're the ones that have been the most.
And Christopher, you mentioned you like Visa more as a trade now?
Well, I exited my position.
Okay.
And now it's just I will use it as a trade.
Yeah, until it crosses 100. If you
And
find
then-
something, and the institution take it from
Then
there.
it'll be an investment.
Okay. Randy, the stock that has surprised you as an investment, have you had any that surprised you?
As far as growth, you mean?
Yeah, in terms of holding it and it went higher.
Well, there's a lot, but I mean, as far as things that I hold, and I always go to my Roth account. Disney is something I hang on to. AT&T, Verizon, Visa. Those are I call like my security stocks. If I have any excess, and I don't know what to do with it, like spend it on myself. I'll put it there. But I mean, I put money aside. All my kids have accounts, so I transfer money into all their accounts, and they get to pick. My older ones, so they like Facebook, so my daughter watches me buy like 2 shares of Facebook for her, and she sees it, and so does my son. So I do that. But those are the ones that kind of I look at always like. When I think I'm talking about this because I gave advice to a friend of mine. He said, all this money in the bank making nothing, and he doesn't know what to do with it, and he works all the time. And I'm like, and he's smart, and he has a E-Trade account. So I'm like, just put it into like AT&T, because he doesn't touch it. Just forget about it. Just forget about it. Put it where it's going to work for you in the long term, because that's what he talks about is long term. He's got nothing going on as far as work, and he's saying, I was like, just put it there, because he keeps it in the bank. And
It just sits there.
Yeah.
It's like 1.2%.
Right. And just dividends alone.
I said dividends
Yeah.
alone.
Right.
And when you get, and I said to him too, I go, and he's with E-Trade. I go, just have your dividend check sent to you.
Right.
So when you come back from he's in production, with your trips and stuff, and you go to your mail, you can have some dividend checks.
Right.
And spend it.
Yeah.
Or put it back in.
Right.
And you're still going to see he's like, I think he's about to cancel his Wells Fargo account.
Good. Good.
But that's what I like.
Well, there goes my advertising deal with Wells Fargo. Right
Oh,
there.
sorry.
Just so you know.
Edit it out.
Trying to negotiate it, but it just killed it right there.
There's always Chase.
Obviously, my best stock in the past 2 years has been Visa. I have just been amazed at how well it has actually done. Any stock that you thought, and by the way, I preached the gospel of AT&T.
Yeah.
Kept telling everybody to grab it when the yield was at 4%, and people were like, I don't want to get it so cheap, it's not going anywhere.
Right.
And then all of a sudden exploded to the upside.
Yep.
And that's the power of investing.
Right.
Investing involves patience. Trading also involves patience.
Yeah.
Correct.
But you can get really hooked on it
Right.
and not want to do the investing side. Real quick before we go to break, any stock you thought would go higher that didn't? Has anybody had one of those? We've all had them. Anything come to mind?
I mean, other than the Costco thing, American Express.
Yeah, I was shocked at the
American
American Express
Express.
pullback.
Yeah,
And how
that's-
long. I mean, they really took that.
Can't believe it.
Did anybody own it at 90 when it reversed?
I
Yeah,
did, but
you
I
did.
got out quick.
Yeah, you have to leave, right? I was surprised at that one.
Yeah, really shocking.
I was surprised that none of these social media stocks took off. I thought they'd actually start like making some profit somewhere.
I did too. I thought at least like at first Twitter, because it's so prominent in today's social media. It really is. Even with the Olympics here, I really thought Twitter would really have some legs to really kind of move forward. And that's
Well, people
surprising.
use it, but they can't monetize it at Twitter.
Right.
And that's the problem.
Yeah.
That's why they got the Monday Night Football,
Right.
So that they can begin to sell some advertising. And I hope they do something. Anybody shocked by how dominant Amazon is as a player online?
Not shocked at all.
Not shocked.
Yeah.
They're
I
hard to
can't. That
compete
stock has just taken off. Deserved, but they're like Walmart of everything.
Yeah.
Why are you not shocked?
Well, first of all, my wife is addicted to it, but not addicted in a good way where she's so busy for people in her career that are constantly working and she's on her phone all the time, it is a game changer for people with families. I mean, we order everything on Amazon. It's cheaper. It's Prime. We get it sometimes that day at our front door. It is the Walmart of the internet. It hands down. I'm a fan, and I hope they split or something.
Well, we all hope they split.
I mean, I'm waiting for it, but it's kind of like
buddy.
Google.
Yeah.
I don't know if they're going to split or not. Google. I mean, but I want Amazon to split. I mean, that would be great to have like a 4-for-1 or something like that. But they literally are the Walmart of. I think they're going to put big companies like Walmart run for their money.
Well,
I mean,
they are because Walmart is saying, look, for the next 2 quarters, we're going to have they say we have to fix this internet thing.
Yeah,
which means that Amazon is eating your lunch. That's basically what it is.
Big time. And it's if we're going to whereas we're talking business and the market, it's funny because I do a lot of things with points. We use our credit cards a lot. So we all gain points and you buy stuff. That's another thing to do. And it's funny now, 3 years ago, you can just use your points to buy certain things. Now you can click on Best Buy, Walmart, Target with your points. Other ways to use your points. Now, all of those stores are getting on it. Amazon was the first one to do it.
Of course.
And I think it's really the culture of our shopping has changed.
Absolutely.
We are not going out. And I think with smartphones and computers, I used to be someone who just I bought like a vacuum cleaner on Amazon, right?
Right.
But then, my roommate a couple of years ago, she started ordering toilet paper on Amazon,
Right.
and then they I used to have a neighbor, and she started ordering all of her groceries on Amazon. And you sort of go like, oh wow, these start to take out all these little like trips that you have to go, even for like toilet paper.
We have all that stuff, and you
so
get
it's not
incentives with
just-
it.
Yeah, it's not just the young kids who are like love their gadgets and shop online. It's like really transformed
Right.
people like 30 to 45 as well. Like just like I'm getting cleaner,
Right. And people listening out there, use your Visa card.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
As your account.
Or your MasterCard.
Or your MasterCard, because you got that stock too you can own.
Well, here's what's so exciting about this era that we live in with is this explosive growth in terms of technology. What I like to say is some of those companies make good investments.
Sure.
Some of those companies make great trades. So it's not like you should be off in a $2 to $5 stock in some company you've never heard of.
Right.
Just the big boys and girls can make you a lot of money in this era. Will we all agree with that?
Yeah,
Absolutely.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. We got to take a commercial here, and we come back. We're going to talk about options trading. We've all made money in options. We've all lost money in options. But I want to know what your experience is, and we're going to talk about trading leap options right after this.
You're listening to the Trading Stocks Made Easy podcast. Want to learn more about how to trade and invest in the stock market? Visit thewealthyinvestor.net/products. That's thewealthyinvestor.net/products and order the Wealthy Investor's Guide to Stock Market Success audio series. This easy-to-follow 5-CD audio series and manual will teach you the basics of how to buy and sell stocks, how to collect quarterly dividends for life, plus hidden income generating strategies like covered call writing and volatility trading. Start creating financial freedom right now. Get the financial education you need to get ahead. Visit thewealthyinvestor.net/products.
Wealthy Investor, Wealthy Investor, WealthyInvestorRadio.com.
And welcome back to Trading Stocks Made Easy. If you're really interested in learning more about the stock market, don't just sit there. Sashay on over to thewealthyinvestor.net and download my free ebook on how to trade stocks. If you're really ready to learn more about covered calls, make sure you get the Wealthy Investor's Guide to Stock Market Success. It'll explain all of this to you that we're talking about, not only on this episode, but on our prior episodes. Welcome back, panel.
Hey.
Hello.
Did you enjoy that commercial break?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, very nice. All right, let's talk about options. Now, options, we normally are selling 30-day, 2-week call options to people, but the next level to master is option ownership. We stay out of options that are 30 to 60 days away. They're better sold. We buy longer-term options known as LEAPs, long-term equity anticipation security. Who has ever bought a LEAP and sold one for a profit?
I think we all have.
I think we all
Okay.
have, yeah.
All right, Randy, the first time you bought an option and sold it for a profit, what was the experience like?
How easy it was to make that kind of money, the tangible feeling of like, wow, the money that you made on that leap was a lot easier than it was starting. Covered calls, you're going every Monday or every 30 days. Leaps was a game changer for me as far as income.
Yeah, the speed.
Yeah.
And the amount of money you can make is absolutely amazing. Carrie?
You know, I actually haven't sold one yet because I just bought my first Leap recently. Because, again, in the program, whenever I was in a position to purchase a Leap, the market was not saying that that was the thing to do at the time.
Right.
So I actually just bought my first Leaps. But it's funny because I actually did a bear called spread before I
which is more advanced than just buying a Leap.
Right? So I feel like I skipped that part in this weird way. But so I have my first one now. And
Congratulations.
yeah,
Yes.
I'm excited. And it's interesting to kind of like, I feel like all this theory that I've been studying and practicing for so long, I'm like, oh, I also do feel like I finally really, really understood it by the time I bought my first one. Because before I still was like not quite sure about the theory and then not quite sure about the logistics and stuff. And now I feel like I understand it and I've bought one and I'm waiting for it to,
Increase in value.
Increase in value.
And it can increase so quickly, and then that's short term. And that thing with the 28%, it's really kind of a moot point because you're on the back and you're making so much. And that question that I get from people a lot, that tax thing, when you start talking about covered calls, and I say, well, now I'm doing options. You explain that, and people are like, oh, but you got to pay taxes, and I push that along when I go, it's a business, and if you walk into this way of thinking that it's not a business, you can get yourself into trouble.
I always tell my clients, I'd rather be paying taxes because I made money than
Correct.
not paying
Right,
taxes and living in a trash can.
That's what I always say.
Right.
If you live in a garbage can, you pay no taxes, you have no wealth.
Right. And what is it?
Right.
Don't trip over pennies on your way to dollars?
Please
Is that what
don't
it is?
do
And then
that.
you tell people, like, did you do your taxes last year? Like, well, yeah, did it easy for me. I go, so you paid your taxes? Like, yeah. I go, do you want to pay taxes? Like, yeah. Okay, well, you going to stop paying taxes if you do this?
Right.
No. Well, then this is part of it.
Right.
It's just adding more to it, I think, is the fearful thing for people. It's like, I go, this is part of your life.
Well, we can all get in a comfort zone.
Yeah.
You go to work every day, you take a paycheck, you
Absolutely.
complain about how bad the world is.
Absolutely.
Or you join the Wealthy Investor Program, you start making money every month, you learn how to trade leaps and grow your money exponentially.
Right.
That's the way the world is,
Right,
right?
right.
So
Right.
change as we get older is a little bit hard. Christopher, your experience trading options.
For me on trading options, it was a cycle. It was fast, sexy money. Thought it would last forever. Then Apple divorced me.
Don't bring it up.
And now it's actually a good thing because I got greedy. I learned the hard way not to get greedy, not to cheat your system. And now it's just when it happens, it's great, but I don't expect it anymore. Whereas before, it was like a drug. It was happening every day, and the money was obscene. I've never made money like that.
It's crazy. It really is crazy.
And now it's like I've toned it down so much that when it happens, great, but I'm not waiting for that. I don't need that high.
Right. And I boast in a bull market a 95% success rate on options. Is there a way, here's a softball questions for all my students, is there a way to buy options and never lose money?
Yes.
Yes, but you must use covered calls to back
Yes,
it up, right?
correct.
That way,
Yes.
the 10-month formula we always talk about.
Yeah.
Okay, so Christopher, you liked it, and there's a tendency when you start making, if the market's really bullish, make a lot of money with options, you think, I'm not going to trade stocks anymore, right?
And I did that. I went through a cycle.
Okay.
And my account was affected by that because I wasn't making as much money because the market changed.
Right.
And the covered calls are just bread and butter. It just constantly brings money in every Monday.
Yes, yes. And for those of you who are thinking about trading options, obviously you want to stay in a stock that has a strong upward trend
Yes.
with great fundamentals behind it because you need that institutional money to be pushing the stock. Your favorite stock for trading options back in the day or whenever you were in your...
It was actually several. Johnson & Johnson, Apple, probably Disney as well. Disney too.
Disney, Randy, the wrecking ball over here, you traded options on everything.
Everything.
I remember a phone call. Most people who listen to the show know I live in two cities, New York and L.A.
Right.
And I was in New York on my way back to L.A. on the phone with you, and I think you own Tesla stock and options. Does that
I think I did on
You
Tesla.
really went buck wild
I did,
on
but
that one.
Tesla, like I said, Tesla was a great payoff. But because our conversations that we had when we were dealing with things like Tesla, for me, it took a lot more of my focus. I watched it a lot more. So I wasn't like, hey, check my computer one day and I'll check it on Thursday. When it came to things like Tesla, I was definitely more focused on what was going on, which you should be. Not recommending it that you do, like we all go off the reservation and we all have our way of thinking. So we've all been burned. But now from my lessons that I learned, things like Tesla, I definitely pay a lot more attention to it to know when to get in and get out with it and stuff. So you have to be in the mindset to do that. Right now, I'm in a different mindset. So you might say like my stuff is really conservative right now. So I got other things going on. So I pull back. But if tomorrow there was a lot of volatility and things changing, the different hat goes on. It's time.
We adjust to the market, right?
We adjust to the market. It's time to go to work. I mean, everybody else, as we talk about big hedge companies and stuff like that, I'll ride their coattails all day long for 1 or 2%.
Yes.
Right? All day long. But the hat has to change. So you have to be ready for that change of the market. Again, it goes to like that A-B category that you have, and I think you need to have that. So when things are on the downside, you just pull back, take off the hat, and you just stick to B list.
Right.
It all works out.
Yes. Now, with regard to trading options, we're making it sound really simple. Right. Okay. So we all know that with an option, the thing that's going to an option is a derivative. It's a derivative of the stock. As we're talking about particularly a call option, as the stock moves higher, that option will theoretically move higher as well. And we use something called the delta, Greeks, to tell us the corresponding movement in the option. Christopher, delta 50 or delta 70? Will you buy an option a little bit more in the money or at the money?
Well, it depends on the market. I've learned the hard way that I'd rather have the delta 70. It's a little more conservative for me because I went through this cycle where it was so fast, easy money, and then it turned off. Where at delta 70, I'm going to have more of a protection. But at delta 50, I could just buy more, but then you got the greed factor taking in.
Correct.
So I try to take the greed factor out, and I'd rather do the delta 70 because it's safer.
Randy, delta 50, delta 70 does not matter to you.
Doesn't matter.
Okay.
But I think because in class, because the only reason why, because when you're in a group class, when your class, we go through these experiences together, and I think it's important that you go through these learning processes to do it. So I think learning how to do a 50 or a 40 delta is important because I come out positive with that, and then on the other side I haven't. And then with 70, you see how the conservative side works. So now you kind of gauge where you are as a person, and everyone's different. So you know where you are, how you want to trade. And I think it's important for an ever-changing market, right? Because it's always changing. So I like that experience to have, because when you see it coming or you see it there, I know how to adjust to it. Where like, okay, I'm going to go this. So I like to have that where if I was just going to stick to like the 70 delta, I wouldn't grow, and I want to grow financially in my thinking as well as my business, right? So I think all those components are important.
Okay.
So
it's so interesting. I feel like you just mapped out like what I'm about to go through over the next 3 months. Because my first one, of course, like it was in the money. It was like the most conservative because I was like, I just want to do it one time.
That's right.
To just know
Smart.
and figure it out, know. But then I look at, so I'm at the very beginning of the leaps, but then I look back at like where I started with covered calls and where I ended up at covered calls. So I feel just so grateful. Like there's a part of me that's listening to you guys and being like, oh man, I can't believe I missed out on that time. But then there's also,
it was fun times.
Oh, but it's coming back.
It's coming back.
But the other part of me is like, I'm so grateful that I've been learning in the markets that we're learning.
Right.
That we've been studying while I've been here because I think they're the harder markets, and learning things like the bear call spread and learning like you got to go in the money 60% of your covered calls for the, I feel like because if it's a bull market, it sounds like just the few times we've had volatility, I was like, oh, if it was always like this, it'd be amazing.
It's bananas.
And
it's
even
bananas.
in volatility, at first I was like 75 cents. And I was like, $1,
Right.
So I've already seen that kind of go.
And then when you
really
see like a $6.50 premium, right, you're like, what?
Yeah.
You want to make a phone call like, who's making these numbers up?
Right,
and then like you kill yourself if you don't jump on it. And then like you wait a day and it goes down to 6.25 and you're just like,
oh, I missed the 25.
Yeah.
I've had that already. But I have like an agreement with myself. If I start to get like emotional, I was like, you can't trade today.
And I'm
emotional
emotional too. So that's all. And Tyrone talks about that too. I think Tyrone's great with that with class. And I've known him so long too. So we have a personal relationship. But we talk about all that stuff. And I know I'm emotional too. But it's important to hopefully figure that out without getting too damaged or losing so much.
Yeah.
But it's okay because there's an upside to it. It all comes around. It all comes back around. Now you're ready for it. Every time it comes around again for me, I'm more prepared than I was the last time.
Yeah.
And I can make those judgment calls.
And it's interesting because I hear you talk about, getting burned or having had those experiences. And I remember when I first started being like really afraid of like what that was going to be for me. And then I made my first like quote unquote mistake. It was actually a clerical mistake I made because I was trading on my phone instead of at home and I wasn't used to it.
Sure.
So I made a mistake and I was like, good till cancel. So I ended up buying it on something I didn't expect to. But it was MasterCard. So who cares? Because it's a great, you know what I mean? That's the thing about we never trade anything we don't want to hold.
That is correct.
Because then if you get triggered in or not, you're not split in your focus.
That is correct.
I want this to go well, but I don't. But if it goes badly, then it's really bad for me because I don't want the stock. You're like, no. If it doesn't happen and I get the stock, then I'm fine.
You're okay.
It's a real disaster to trade against something you like for the long term.
Sure.
You have to be rooting for it to go higher. That way you can make your stock and your option decisions kind of with the same mindset, right? We all agree with that?
Right, sure.
Right. Christopher, bid-ask spread for people who are more advanced in options trading, how important is that to you?
Well, the bid-ask spread, as you know, it makes the profit for the market makers. But for me, I'm trying to minimize that because that's money that I'm actually throwing away. So I look for the bid-ask spread. I think you've taught us for a quarter. You don't teach us in class, but I'll play the bid-ask spread game where I'll try and put a price a little bit lower than what it's showing on there. And most of the time, it actually gets taken away.
Yeah, you try to get filled within the spread.
Correct.
Right. But I think on a stock that's moving $2,
right.
Yeah.
Some of my students play that game. And there's nothing wrong with that, especially on a leaps, right? You're in, the thing goes up, you get out.
So on a $2 spread, it depends on the stock. And right now, I know we're all talking about Netflix. And it's okay because we know it's so volatile and it's where it's going. But but at the same time, I'm also went through my cycle, as I said earlier, that even if I buy a leap that doesn't work out the way I want it to, I know how to unwind it and still make a profit and get out of it. So I'm not afraid that I won't make fast, sexy money.
Correct.
It just changes my mindset. Okay, now I'm going to use this for another avenue of investing. Or I'll just sell it because I used my cover call money to buy it. I'm still coming out ahead.
Perfect. Now, if you're going to trade options, I think we all agree 100%, you must study them.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
What's the biggest value? We'll go around on this one, Christopher. What's the biggest value from I actually have an options online course that anybody who's listening can sign up for. But what is the value of studying options? Why is that so important? We know you can make a lot of money.
Because of greed. It's your mindset. It's following the system because greed will take over. There's been you've taught us in the class, don't be afraid to take a profit. So if I'm thinking it might be up 70 cents and I want $1 and I'm thinking, should I sell this? Because that 30 cents is going to really buy me another pair of shoes, Randy.
That's right.
But you've also taught us, well, just take a profit. If you start thinking every time I think I'm going to wait for the next price, I just take the profit because I take the emotion out of it and I move on.
Right.
So taking a class and going to class has helped me mentally prepare to take something less and say it's okay.
Carrie, what's the biggest value of studying options trading?
I think it's just because it is more complicated for you to understand, to comprehend. Like, there's something about covered call that, especially being in the entertainment industry, this idea of like, an option and you sell someone the right to buy something, like that makes more tangible sense because you've actually got the asset and you're selling. But something about options, because you don't actually own the stock, it is a little bit more complicated, and to like wrap your mind around wherever it's going to get hooked up. Like for me, I was like, well, who are these people buying on this side? You know what I mean? Like whatever, there's just going to be, because it's more complex, there's just going to be more places that your brain is going to stick, on some part of it, and then, which is going to then either make you not do it or make you do it badly, and I feel like there's something about like, the fast, sexy money potential also means that like if you make mistakes and you don't have a backup plan, then your potential for loss is also a little bit greater, or you know what I mean? You can mess it up more. So I feel like for me, and it took me longer to really understand how they worked, why they worked, how to even implement the logistics of it, and remembering like there's just more like piece parts.
Yes.
And so I feel like it just took longer for me to listen to everything and just go through it over and over and over again until I finally understood all the parts. And what was really gratifying was that at my year mark is when new people came into the mentor program or new people came into Inner Circle, and now I'm the person in our drills that's explaining it and teaching it. I was like, oh my God, I must really understand this now because now I'm explaining it to them and I know exactly why they're confused because that was my question 3 months ago.
Yes.
You know, and so that has just been more complex in some way.
Also with options, even if you buy an option that expires a year out, you're still dealing with time.
Yes.
Always.
Whereas we buy shares, those shares could sit there, but there's no time element to them. Whereas when you're buying a derivative of the stock, like a call option or a leaps option, that option is going to expire, cease to exist at some point.
There feels like pressure. You know what I mean? You feel like,
I love your analogy of an ice cube. The option is always melting. The ice cube is going to melt. And you stick it outside.
It's like a living thing. It's going, it's evolving, it's moving and stuff, and you have to.
I also feel like there's more of a feeling of like, oh, I could do something wrong.
Okay.
You know, as opposed to like buying a stock and selling a covered call. And I was like, oh, it expires or it doesn't, but I know exactly what to do no matter which of those things happens.
Right.
And there's something about, you know, your option and you're like, oh, what if I do run out of time and I did wrong and I bought the wrong? You know, it feels like there's more of a, I don't know.
Well, there is.
There is.
Yeah, right? You know what I mean? You're just like,
so you don't know.
So there's more pressure, you know?
There's more pressure. Yeah. And going back to class, I think even with using the bid-ask spread in the volatile market and when there's no volatility, to keep that bid-ask spread small is also another great learning tool. Just to know that you have in your arsenal of thinking, it's important. And then when you know there's like when there's $2 and there's like Netflix, you know now what to do on the downside. And so I think for me it alleviates the stress of like, I know what I'm doing. I'm going to go ahead and make what I'm going to make. It's going to be great. But if there's a turn, I know that I can. Well, let's go back to basics. Let's go to class. And let's focus on now going back to our small bid-ask spread and just kind of it's always recapping, and that's what I like, you know. And it's funny, even like, and I have been out of class sometimes for months, and I'm like, you miss that gap of time, and it's kind of you have to relearn it.
Yes, you do.
You have to relearn it constantly, relearn it because it's always changing.
And I know now why the average trader doesn't make a lot of money with options because you must study.
You must.
It's not like buying a stock and saying, I'll wait for it to go up 75 cents, right? Because, well, the way that I teach it is you could always sell a call against those shares if the stock does not advance.
Right.
On that option, if that option does not move within 60, 30 days, you have to have a plan for that.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And also it feels like they are more like their relationship to the stock market. They can like their parameter can change so much faster than like you just being a stock. Because even if you have a stock and you're still you're selling covered call, you're lowering your cost basis on the stock. So you can actually like get ahead of yourself and you're like, I'm actually good.
Right.
But with an option, it's not that way.
Right.
You don't like get ahead of yourself.
No, you do not.
Right.
Because if the stock drops during earnings,
Yep.
your derivative value is also going to drop, and you're going to feel that.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Very good. Yeah, it's definitely another level of skill, but the money is so good when it goes right, isn't it?
When it goes right, it's great.
like a perfect world, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
All right. I'm going to run out of time here. I just want to talk about technology, and anybody can jump in on this. Who trades on their phone?
I trade on my phone. I have the Apple Plus because I've gotten older and my eyes need the bigger fonts, but it's easy to trade on my phone.
Okay.
But I'm not on it every day. Every second of the day, I might pick it up for a break, look at what the stocks are at, and then turn it off. I have an alarm set at 12:45 every day because I might want to buy something.
Right.
Other than that,
That sounds like a volatility trade.
Other than that, I'm not really looking at the market.
Okay. Carrie, you trade on your phone?
I don't.
Okay.
I
Why?
don't. I trade. Well, I like to trade at home on my computer when it's like quiet and calm and I'm focused. Because again, it's still new and I still find new ways that I'm reacting emotionally. So I like to be able to really look at everything. I also I had done a couple of volatility trades on my phone, but then the one time that I made a little bit of a mistake, a clerical error. It was on my phone because I'm just not as familiar with the platform.
Right, exactly.
So I just right now for me, I'm still just sticking with the platform that makes sense to me. And I'm up early, and it's not. And because I'm an actor, I usually have free time during the day that I can just focus on that at home by myself. So,
Randy, you trade on your phone?
No, platform is a little bit tricky for me. I've done it, but I've made some clerical errors as well.
Thank you for saying that.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I'm mean, I'm a gadget guy, but I have my laptop with me all the time. I'm an actor, so I'm always mobile, and I have it with me, so I know I can jump in someplace, and I like to be at home too. Tyrone actually taught me that, like, take a Zen state, cup of coffee, take a deep breath, because I've made my mistakes by just rushing and stuff like that. And then when I'm on my phone, the platform got a little confusing, and I pushed the wrong button, and it's just over. That's your thing.
It's not over.
It's not over,
Right,
but
right,
it's just
right.
but I'm like, then it's just, and I'm too busy.
Yeah,
I
it's
feel when
time
you're
to
on my phone,
unwind.
I'm too busy. If I have to be on my phone, I'm trying to get something done for a trade. That means I'm not at a place where I should have been, and I'm trying to
calm down
to
and
calm
focus.
down.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
Need to focus. I'm
Yeah.
doing too many things at one time, and I have kids and everything else.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like, Daddy's going to pull over real quick. I need quiet for
Yes.
5 minutes. And my daughter wants to watch, Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory for the millionth time.
And it might just be that I have a bad habit of I haven't trained myself to have a long attention span when I'm dealing with my phone, because most of the things I do on my phone, I don't pay attention to for long
No,
periods of time.
you're exactly
And
right
I
on
feel
the
like
money.
maybe it's just like
Right on the money.
I've trained myself into short attention spans on the phone, which is why that is not a good
No,
environment
that's
for
a good
trading.
point. I agree. I agree with that. Yeah, that's a really great point.
Well,
That's
I
awesome.
do listen, I've been trading for 20 years. I must get into that zone when I trade.
Yeah.
I have traded outside of Disneyland with my kids and pulled over. And pulled out my laptop, and my mother was in the car. I was like, I need everybody quiet for 6 minutes.
Yeah.
And you know what? They all did it.
Yeah.
And then I paid for everybody to go in.
Right,
so I was
right,
like,
right.
you kids want to go in? Daddy's got to
Right,
make some money
right,
right now.
right.
Strangest place you've ever traded? I think we all
Strangest?
agree. Yeah. For me, it was at Disney, outside of Disney. I've also done it in the parking lot, grocery shopping, place trades.
I traded in a storage closet at an audio studio that I was there to do a recording for. And I was like, give me 1 second. And I stepped into their stock room with all their coffee and pens and stuff, and shut the door and was like, all right, let me do this.
Let me sell to open.
Yeah.
3 contracts.
I was shooting a commercial, and there were kids in the commercial, and they had a study room because they were and it was the only area that the Wi-Fi was strong, and I walked in, I looked at them, and I go, I just need to know my laptop. She looked at me like, hello? I go, they said it was okay. And I literally sat in the corner, opened my laptop real quick, and she was teaching them, they were doing their homework, whatever. It was no big deal, but it was the only room with Wi-Fi.
Sure.
Of the whole place.
Right.
And I said sorry with the PA, and I was like, I just got to get in. She's like, how much time? Like 10 minutes.
Right.
And I literally went into the corner, and I opened up my laptop, and that was just, and I got it done. But it was
Because something else that helps is I always now plan my trade the night before.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So do I.
Yeah.
I
On
can
Sunday
already
night
tell.
or whatever. So now,
Right.
no matter where I am, what's happening, I'm like, it's okay. But I usually am like, got to be home by 12:45.
Right.
That's
You
usually
know.
my focus.
Yeah, and I mean, that's just making your trading a priority.
Yeah.
Christopher?
I was actually in line in Disneyland on my phone.
oh my God,
that right?
that's crazy.
You have a lot of time.
While you're in line,
Disneyland.
you're waiting to go on the ride.
Right.
So
Were you trading
I'll-
Disney?
Oh, you were in the theme park.
In the theme
Oh,
park.
you were in already.
on the line
Wow.
to go on a ride.
Okay.
So I looked
couldn't
at the
do it.
stocks and, I guess I'm going to buy something.
Right. Okay, do we all agree that trading is fun?
Yes.
Do you
Yeah.
all agree that you like making money this way?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Do you ever see this ending for you?
No,
No.
never.
Okay. Why? Anybody?
It's part of your income. It's part of your life. It's a way to make money.
True.
How easy can it be?
Right.
And you get benefits. For me, it's like I get to be with my family, and I think there's more pluses than negatives, wholeheartedly.
Yeah, it just brings me everything about it and everything that it represents brings me a sense of peace. The idea that I can earn income, that I can choose to employ myself by earning income that day, and
in our
the
line
fact that
of
it
work,
in our line of
too,
work,
in
that
our line
makes
of
a
work,
huge difference to be
it's-
like, my rent is paid no matter what happens when I walk into this audition.
Right.
You know what I mean? And that's
Right.
very, very
No, of
powerful.
course, it's
powerful.
And I think
It
that there
is.
is this
Yeah.
struggling artist kind of thing, or this, and I don't have to worry about selling out or what.
Right.
There's just learning about wealth. I also find that it's really helping me understand how decisions get made.
Right.
It's making me better at business in general. I mean, I just can't, there's so much personal growth and financial growth inside of it that I don't know why I would ever give that up as a person on the planet.
And in this town, in this creative field of being an artist and actor, this is an opportunity for you to really pursue your dreams, and you can do this from anywhere. I just don't understand why more people are not doing it. And we've had this discussion too, especially people in the arts and
Yeah.
stuff. If it's just a game changer.
I'm literally at the point
Like-
now where I want to book a job so I can put money in my cash account.
I know,
Yeah.
you
You
feel
know what I
it.
mean? It's
great.
literally flipped. It's
No,
literally
it's
flipped. I
great.
was like, I
Right.
want this commercial because I want a
Right.
deposit.
And
Right.
for non-artists, I just want everybody out there to know, listening, if you lose your job, isn't it great to know that you could have $2,500, $5,000,
Yeah.
$10,000 a month coming in?
Right.
Yeah.
Just because you went and got a financial education?
Right.
I like
So-
that I feel good about that now.
Right.
Yes, everybody should be doing.
Yes.
Christopher, you wanted to add?
So I'm a non-artist, but I'm able to do this with my job. As a CPA, I make most of my money by the end of April. I have to use this to last until next tax season.
Right.
So I'm able to extend my savings while I'm bringing in income. If I make $300 on a cover call right on a Netflix, I look at it as, well, that's one less tax return I have to do next year
Right.
to get the same income.
Right.
So it's a tax
Right.
return when I look at it.
Right.
And the more I do, the less I'm going to have to do in my day job.
Right.
Exactly. Now, first of all, I appreciate you all for giving yourselves time and being here. I really appreciate it. I've tried to turn this Fast Money episode into not how to trade Netflix leaps options. Okay, I think we all understand
Right,
that.
right.
But thank you all for being. Will you come back in the future and let us
Whenever
keep
you have
tracking?
us.
you?
Absolutely.
I really appreciate it. Hey, listen, that's going to do it for me. This is Tyrone Jackson, the Wealthy Investor, saying, even if you don't understand everything that we've talked about here today, all of the language that we've used in our philosophies and in the money and out of the money and theta and delta, you don't have to. It's all about getting that financial education. Wherever you are in your life, I can tell you this, you can use more residual income on a monthly basis. And that's why the Wealthy Investor Program exists. Tyrone Jackson, the Wealthy Investor, saying, get that financial education. I'll see you on our next episode.
You've been listening to the Trading Stocks Made Easy podcast. Be sure to rate and review our show on iTunes. While you're on iTunes, be sure to click the subscribe button and you'll automatically receive our next episode.